This time, the remarkable history of Remington at 200 years of continuous production for America. It's a story that begins with one young man who wanted a rifle in 1816.
This is Shooting USA, reporting the stories of America's shooting sports.
There are big company giants that we might think have always been there producing their products like Ford or General Motors or Smith & Wesson. Well, they have been around a long time, but none can match the continuous history of Remington that is nearly as old as the United States. Remington has been making firearms for 200 years of continuous production, arming sportsmen, hunters, and armies around the world. It is a remarkable story that begins with one young man who wanted a rifle in 1816. His name, Eliphalet Remington II, and he was about to launch a dynasty. It was a time when a man needed a rifle to survive, to put food on the table, to protect what was his, early in the 1800s. And a young man named Eliphalet Remington was growing up in the countryside of Herkimer County, New York. Eliphalet was following in his father's footsteps, learning the blacksmith trade. And in 1816, he forged his first rifle barrel here at the Remington family forge.
Legend says that Eliphalet wanted a gun and his father said, well, you got to make it yourself. But like as not, that was just a natural thing he wanted to do. He was learning the trade, working in the forge for his father with other employees of his father. We do know that he forged a barrel, but at that time the forge did not have the equipment to bore and rifle that barrel.
So Eliphalet, as the story goes, walked a dozen miles to hire a gunsmith to bore and rifle his barrel. Then he took his finished flintlock to a local shooting match, winning second place.
Apparently it was a very successful barrel. His gun shot well. So neighbors, friends said, gee, could you make me a barrel? Over time, there was more and more demand.
History doesn't shed much light on what happened to that first flintlock, but these old photos show what is reputed to be Eliphalet's second rifle. After his success at the shooting match, young Remington's business boomed, spurred by the completion of the Erie Canal, which gave him the means to ship his barrels by boat. By 1828, he was firmly established as the best barrel maker for miles around. Remington and Sons soon outgrew the forge, and Eliphalet moved his company to this new factory in Ilion.
To be as successful as he was for as long as he was meant he was turning out a pretty darn good product. Lots of other people were falling by the wayside, and he hung in there. The government felt confident enough to start giving him government contracts.
Military contracts, a huge turning point in Remington's history.
In 1845, there was another manufacturer who had a contract to make pattern 1841, later called Mississippi rifles that he had gotten in 1842, but while he had gotten started, he could not complete the contract.
Eliphalet saw an opportunity, buying the contract for the Mississippi rifles as well as the machinery to build them. Suddenly, Remington and Sons was in the business of manufacturing complete firearms for the U.S. military.
Considered by many people the most beautiful military firearms. Made a jillion of Mississippis.
And about the same time, Eliphalet bought a second unfilled contract to build 1,000 Jinx breech-loading carbines, a firearm that saw action in the Mexican-American War.
So now it had two military contracts. Both of them brought machinery with them. He had to have more capacity now to build whole firearms.
That capacity came in the form of a huge new arsenal built in 1848, and with it came more government contracts to the village of Ilion.
In 1850, Remington had developed the ability to bore a single solid bar of steel to turn it into a rifle barrel. It was the first gun manufacturer in the world to be able to bore a rifle barrel from a single piece of steel.
Innovation forged on, and a few years later, Remington debuted its first revolvers, drawing on the ingenuity of its designers like Fordyce Beals.
The Civil War broke out. Beals had pretty much perfected his large frame revolver design, and Remington got its first contract with the Union to produce 5,000 revolvers of the Beal design.
A few months later, Eliphalet died in 1861, leaving his company in the hands of his sons, Philo, Samuel, and Eliphalet III. But the founders' work continued, like improvements to the Beal's revolver, which brought the company a great new success, the Remington New Model Army.
It was the second most widely used handgun by the Union forces during the American Civil War. They made them from about 1863 to 1877, and we were making these things well up into the cartridge era. This is one of Remington's great achievements.
More than 120,000 sold. And here's another big seller in a very small package from 1866. Think smoky saloons and Old West gamblers. The Remington Double Derringer.
Even though this isn't the first Derringer, or maybe even the best Derringer, this is the little gun that the average person thinks of when you say Derringer. It was made by Remington, so of course the quality was superb.
The Double Derringer for riverboat gamblers and ladies of the evening. But it was the government contracts from the Army that expanded the company during the first 50 years. But the end of the Civil War brought a huge challenge to firearms manufacturers. What do you sell in peacetime? How do you expand the appeal of the new Army for settlers and shopkeepers moving to the western frontier? And the new metallic cartridge was now taking over from cap and ball ignition. All of those challenges would face Remington in the next 50 years, along with a world war. Coming next, Remington meets the challenges with new designs that would sell worldwide.
Introducing the M&P M2.0 by Smith & Wesson, enhanced for complete shootability. Featuring a new aggressive grip texture, the famous M&P Optimal Grip Angle, 4 interchangeable palm swell grips for nearly any hand size, a light, crisp trigger with a clear tactile reset. Everything you love about the M&P pistol made even better. The new M&P M2.0, advanced by design.
Shooting USA is brought to you by the M&P by Smith & Wesson, advanced by design. The history of America in many ways is the history of firearms in America. Our freedoms have been won and defended in battle through the courage of patriots who were willing to take up arms. And many of those arms have been Remingtons, as the company built pistols and rifles for America and for armies around the world. But the periods of peacetime have always been challenging for firearms manufacturers. Many have disappeared when there were no more government orders. But not Remington, with a series of creative designs that would keep the arsenal running until America would ask for help again in 2 world wars. When Remington issued its new model Army near the start of the Civil War, it was a big success with Union forces, a powerful cap and ball percussion revolver in .44 caliber.
Bottom line, it's one heck of a nice revolver. It certainly is the match of any Colt that I've ever fired.
But the new model Army wasn't alone. At the same time, Remington introduced the new model Navy, identical to the Army in almost every way, except chambered in .36 caliber.
Both the Army and the Navy used both sizes of guns. It's just, do you want 36 or do you want 44 caliber? The designs for these guns were so good that after the war, they evolved into all of the large frame and many of the smaller frame revolvers that Remington ever made.
And here's that evolution: the full-size Army revolver on top, then the easier-to-carry belt, followed by the smaller new model Police, and finally the new model Pocket. Each had cylinders for percussion and metallic cartridge, but eventually Remington went cartridge only, producing a revolver for the civilian market in 1875, the Remington Improved Army.
After the Civil War, many of the gun manufacturers without military contracts went bankrupt and disappeared. Remington was able to continue
and thrive, building this enormous armory in 1871 to produce its revolvers and other new firearms, including one of the most important designs in all of American firearms history, the Remington rolling block.
This is the gun that introduced a lot of nations to the concept of the self-contained cartridge.
But America never adopted the rolling block as a military-issue arm, choosing to go with the Allen conversion of the trapdoor Springfield instead. But 16 other countries did adopt the rolling block.
If you're a foreign country or a country and you're looking for a battle weapon, what do you want? Strength, reliability, don't want it to cost too much. The gun did all those things well. Over 1.5 million rolling block action guns were made.
The rolling block was also a favorite on the American frontier with big game hunters like Buffalo Bill, and it came in pistol variants too. It was even produced as a shotgun.
One of the things that made them successful was figuring out how to use the same parts for different things. It can not only be a rifle, it can be a shotgun.
That ingenuity kept Remington working in peacetime when there were no lucrative government contracts. At times, it manufactured cash registers, sewing machines, pocket knives, the first successful typewriter, and even bicycles in the 1890s. But early in the 1900s, the military called again. Britain was fighting in World War I, and Remington built the Brits thousands of rifles, pattern 14 Enfields. Later, as America was entering the war, Remington answered the call again. Just a few years before, the company had merged with America's largest ammo maker, Union Metallic Cartridge.
So here you have Remington with gun-making abilities and the largest ammunition manufacturing capacity in the United States. The federal government came to them and said, you need to get ready. This is going to be big.
The new firearms giant upped its production. Remington built 1911 government models and Mark III flare guns for the Army, as well as 30 caliber Browning machine guns, and the U.S. Model 1917 rifle. In essence, the .303 British Enfield rechambered in .30-06. And the cartridge division did its part too, producing ammo for the U.S. and the Allies, literally by the train car.
Remington produced more than half of all small arms ammunition used by both the United States and its allies in World War I.
The contribution to the cause of freedom continued in World War II, when Remington built the 1903 A3 rifle, a secondary U.S. service weapon, while loading more than 14 billion rounds of ammunition, producing 10 million cartridges a day.
During World War II, Remington produced about 68% of all ammunition manufactured anywhere in the United States for the war effort.
14 billion rounds of ammunition and rifles, and the Remington 1911, all for the war effort. The 1911 by Remington has been reintroduced for the past few years, and in this version, it's a 200-year commemorative with gold-filled engraving. It's a limited edition intended for collectors, but of course it can be a shooter with Remington's quality. But there's still more to the story of Remington, the sporting arms for America's hunters and sportsmen. Coming next, the Remington icons that have become the standard of the world.
What makes a legacy? Is it quality? Craftsmanship? Maybe it's the idea that every American deserves their right to security and peace of mind on and off the battlefield. What makes a legacy? Here at Colt, we're making it every day. Colt, built one at a time, proven every round.
Shooting USA is brought to you by Hornady, accurate, deadly, dependable, and by Bushnell Performance Optics. In the 200 years of Remington history, sportsmen are most likely to think of the hunting arms and sporting arms that today still define each category. There are John Browning designs in the history, and notable firsts like the first auto-loading shotgun. And there are other designs that still today are considered simply the best. At 200 years, the Remington legacy continues. It's America's first auto-loading shotgun, the Remington Model 11. 110 years old and working every bit as well as the day it left the factory.
The Model 11 was a John Moses Browning design. He brought his design first to Remington, and Remington readily agreed to manufacture the shotgun. It was just called Remington's auto-loading shotgun at that time.
The autoloader hit the market in 1906 at a time when public opinion was swinging toward pump and repeating arms. Sportsmen wanted shotguns with more than the capacity of a side-by-side, and the Remington Model 11 filled the bill.
So it was in the right place at the right time with a fantastic design, compliments of John Browning. It was manufactured for 42 years. And during that period of time, over 850,000 of these guns were made by Remington.
And here's an autoloader modern enthusiasts will quickly recognize, the Remington Model 1100. Introduced in the early 60s, it was an immediate success, finding favor with sportsmen and Hollywood. Here's an appearance on the Andy Griffith Show. Remington still makes the 1100 more than 50 years later.
The design was excellent, and they've sold literally millions of them. Obviously, the public in the marketplace thought it was a great design as well.
Now there is an unmistakable sound, the iconic Model 870 pump, introduced by Remington in 1950 and still manufactured to this day. The 870 is simply the best-selling shotgun in firearms history.
The most significant thing about it is I believe it is the best pump shotgun ever made, and the fact that over 15 million have been made and sold since 1950 would argue that there's a whole lot of other people who think the same thing.
Rugged, reliable, easy to operate, the 870 is built to take abuse and just keep working, as it has for more than 60 years.
If you can do it with a shotgun, you can do it with an 870. Once you practice enough, you can cycle the action on this shotgun faster than a semi-auto cycles.
Here's one more Remington icon with the action that has become the standard of the world, the Model 700 bolt-action rifle.
Well, the Remington Model 700 is absolutely, unquestionably the most successful American sporting rifle ever made. They came out in 1962 and they're still churning them out.
In fact, Remington has built more than 5 million Model 700s over the years, in calibers ranging from 17 to 458 Win Mag.
There's sporting versions, there's hunting versions, there's target versions, there's military sniper versions. It goes on and on and on and on.
It's one more story of leadership in serving America for 200 years, both on the battlefield and in the hunting fields around the world.
The Sportsman is the basis of the company, always has been. And they've made good, solid products, they've stood behind their products, and their products are affordable.
Those same sporting arms icons are available to collectors with gold-washed engraving and fine quality furniture celebrating Remington's 200 years. The 870, the Model 1100, and of course, the bolt-action rifle standard of the world, the Model 700. These are limited editions. See your local gun dealer if you want to put one away for your heirs to discover in your vault when Remington turns 300. Well, up next today, we're talking tech on the guns and cartridges introduced in 1873. And later, a new division in the practical shooting sports, the first ever Carry Optics Nationals. Out of all you'll spend on shooting this year, this is the most important, a membership in the NRA. Join at shootingusa.com and I'll pay $10 for you. It's that important.
Conditions change. Your measure of success does not. The new Bushnell Elite Tactical DMR-2I's illuminated G3 reticle allows you to adjust instantly to changing light to deliver exact holdovers at any range, all with effortless control. So you can conquer any target, at any distance, in any light, every time. The new Elite Tactical DMR-2I, only from Bushnell.
Shooting USA is brought to you by Les Baer Customs 1911s, hand-fitted to perfection because you'll accept no less. Now, history from the Northeast that would have a profound effect on the Western frontier. The year is 1873, and two powerhouse companies in Connecticut are about to make firearms history and American frontier history. The first was Colt's Patent Manufacturing in Hartford. Sam was long dead, with the company being directed by his widow, Elizabeth, and the news was the single-action Army model of 1873. The same year, in New Haven, Connecticut, Oliver Winchester's company introduced the Model 1873 lever-action rifle. And both companies introduced new centerfire cartridges for their new firearms. For Colt, it was the .45 Colt. Don't say long Colt, that happens later. The .45 Colt had a 255-grain lead bullet over 40 grains of black powder, and it was centerfire with a primer. The Army shortly adopted both the revolver and the cartridge as the primary sidearm for the expansion west. Now, at Winchester, the new round for the new rifle was the .44-40 Winchester Centerfire, also one of the first to use a primer, also with 40 grains of black powder, but with a slightly smaller and lighter bullet, 212 grains of lead in .44 caliber. And there was one other significant difference, the cannelure, the groove pressed into the case that is a bullet stop. The reason was the tube magazine on the .73. That recoil with each shot could hammer the stack of rounds and could force the bullets deeper into the case if not restricted by the cannelure groove. There are two dangers in that. Compressing the powder in the case can create greater pressure, and there can be feeding problems if the cartridges get shorter from the recoil. There was one other danger in the tube magazine Winchester, that the recoil could set off a cartridge in the magazine if the bullets could hit a primer in the stack. So the .44-40 had to have flat-faced, blunt bullets, and primers had to be seated deep in the cases. Cowboy action shooters, you paying attention? Oh, here's one more warning if you're shooting a Henry Big Boy that loads from the front of the tube like the original Henry rifle. Load at an angle to ease the rounds down the tube. If you stand the rifle on its butt and let the cartridges hammer down the tube, you are asking for an explosion. By the way, it would not be until 2006 that Hornady figured out how to clean up the aerodynamics of the flat-face bullets with lever revolution rounds for tube magazines with a soft polymer tip that would not set off a primer. All right, now back to the late 1800s, and Colt would chamber their Peacemaker for 4440 Winchester to allow a pioneer to use the same ammo in his revolver and rifle. Winchester never chambered their rifle in .45 Colt because Elizabeth Colt wouldn't allow it, and Colt held the patent on the cartridge. So what was the cartridge that won the West? Well, there's a strong case here. It was the 4440 Winchester Centerfire, chambered in both the single-action Army and the model of '73. And still ahead, Red Dot Optics compete in the USPSA's new national championship. John's got that story coming next. This is custom gun making, hand fitting, slide to frame, hand cutting the magwell, blending the surfaces of the slide, the frame, and the beaver tail. At every step, a Les Baer Custom 1911 is hand fitted to tolerances no CNC machine can match for match grade accuracy. And a Les Baer Custom 1911 is priced at 1/3 of what you'd pay any other gun maker. See all the 1911s and rifles at lesbaer.com. Shooting USA is brought to you by Blackhawk, honor as a way of life, and by the M&P by Smith & Wesson, advanced by design.
The slide-mounted red dot optic. At one time, this was only seen on custom pistols, but now just about all of the major manufacturers have an offering, including Smith & Wesson. This is the M&P Core, that's competition optics-ready equipment. And the USPSA is the first competitive shooting organization to create a division for guns like this, and the first to host a national championship, the Carry Optics Nationals. It is a monumental event anytime a new division has its first national championship.
We're making history today.
It's a natural progression of what is the most popular division in the USPSA.
It's essentially pistols that you would shoot in the production division, double action, single action, striker fired, double action only pistols with a slide mounted optic, and that could come in many forms. A guy who goes into a store and buys a Smith & Wesson Core with the sight cut out can simply come and join us with something he already owns.
The president would certainly know he is participating in this national.
It's not open, it's not production, but really the pistol and the support equipment, the holsters, the mag pouches are very much the same.
Getting started in this new division is streamlined by the fact that the same holster, belt, and mag pouches used for the production division are also used here. Rules for the position of the holster and magazines are the same as in the production division, as is the magazine capacity. 10 rounds only means there will be plenty of reloads. The same equipment and position on the body is an added benefit to all of the shooters, Randy Rogers included.
Today I'm running Comptac, the international holster, and then our PO and mag pouches. This is exactly the same gear that I ran in the production nationals, so it made the transition really easy.
Another easy aspect of the Carry Optics division, the inspection and chrono. First, each gun is weighed with an empty magazine. 45 ounces is the limit. Julie Gollub's M&P Core is well under that. At 35 ounces, Max's P320 is well under the limit, but is one of the heavier polymer frame guns. Also notice he's eliminated the backup sights. Casey Eusebio is running a Zev Z17 built on a Glock 17 frame. The slide assembly and internals are all from Zev. All told, it weighs in at 29.8 ounces. Shane Coley and Nils Jonasson are both running Glock 34s. Shane's has an S3F barrel. Nils has been tuned by TTI. Both are running Loophole Delta Point Pro optics, and both weigh 28.7 ounces. In the Carry Optics division, all of the guns are minor power factor. 9mm is by far the most common caliber. Everyone submits a sample of their match ammo. One bullet is pulled and weighed. 3 of the others are loaded into each competitor's gun and fired through the chronograph to generate an average velocity. The ammunition for the most part is factory, so there is little gaming to advantage there. The best shooters in the country are here to win, and that means there will be fast action on the stages. It's an exciting time for the USPSA, debuting a brand new division and making it one that will attract new shooters to the sport. After the break, we'll see some of the top shooters in the game tackle the stages at the first ever Carry Optics Nationals.
The next evolution in single-stage press technology. The lock-and-load iron press from Hornady. The heavy-duty cast iron frame provides industry-leading superior strength, featuring the available automatic priming system, patented shell holder platform, accessory mounting deck, and lock-and-load bushing system. The Hornady lock-and-load iron press will deliver match-accurate ammunition, round after round, year after year.
Shooting USA is brought to you by STI and the continuing evolution of the 1911, and by Comtac, everyday carry holsters.
Unlike some of the more racy divisions of the USPSA, the new Carry Optics division is a pretty level playing field when it comes to the equipment. So it's up to the shooter's skill to set them apart. And when the best in the country are together on the squad, it's always exciting. We're at Paso Park near Barry, Illinois for the USPSA's first ever Carry Optics Nationals. And some of the biggest names in the shooting sports are here representing their companies for the win. We'll pick up the action on the stage known as Twisted 2. 9 paper and 4 steel targets will require no less than 22 rounds. There are 2 hardcover protected steel that shooters will see at the final position. There are 110 points available here. It's a quick stage with multiple shooting solutions. Casey Eusebio will be first to run his plan. On the start, it's the close partial target. A little trigger freeze in the window there. There's his first reload. That was quick. Final reload now, and there's the hardcover steel.
Clear, 1587.
It's all right, a little choppy. I was the first one of the stage, so I had to go with a different plan. I had to go 10, and had to be a little bit more accurate in the beginning, but it was all right.
Now it's Max. There's the start. Oh, he's left the window target. There's his reload. There's that window target. Second reload into the final position. 1609 is just off of Casey's pace.
Went pretty good. Shot a couple too many Charlies, just kind of the theme of my match here. I just trying to stay away from the penalty targets and just dropping a couple extra points, but overall doing well. So just trying to keep on pace to have a good overall performance. But it's a good fun stage, lots of options, the way to shoot it.
On the start signal, Nils Jonasson looks to be following Max's plan. There's his reload. An extra on that steel adds a tick. Final reload on the way to the back.
$17.79.
That's a smooth finish for Nils.
Gun's running good, scope's good. Can't complain about that.
You can bet Shane Coley has taken note of both approaches to this stage. Looks like he's following Max's plan as well. Into the final position. There's an extra on that hardcover steel. That adds time. 1624 is solid if the points are there.
I think that was a good one. Been down in the points a little bit, so I'm trying to get some good stages to get caught back up. It's a good field course for me, so I think I went pretty well.
It certainly went well. His accuracy covers the time difference, and Shane takes full match points for the stage. The stage Where Are They 2 is a 160-point course of fire. 13 paper and 6 steel, 4 are hardcover protected, and 2 are activators for 2 single exposure drop turning targets.
There is a pepper popper over there that will activate a gravity drop turner. It is a disappearing target.
Because they are single exposure targets, they are non-penalty miss targets. But everyone on this squad will go for them rather than lose the 10 possible points on each target. Julie Golub is on her way to locking up the first ladies national title in this new division, and this run will be another huge push to that goal. Into the second position, she has to wait just a moment for the drop turner. A quick reload there. Through the middle section smooth. Final reload there, and it's all over in 24.26 seconds.
Would have been perfect had I remembered to shoot the activator first. But I didn't, but good points, good finish.
Shane Coley has slipped into second place behind Max Michel, and he knows if he's going to make a move, now is the time to do it. That was quick. There's his first reload. Shane runs through Where Are They 2 faster than everyone so far. 19.50 and 156 target points will be tough to beat.
So I really wanted to aim, get my points, but be quick at the same time. I think I accomplished that. Had a rack slide off a load, but I don't think it cost me any time, so hopefully I can gain some time here.
First person break 20.
Yeah, first person.
For Max, it's about getting through this last stage as quickly and as smoothly as possible. His overall lead is good. He just needs to close the deal here. Through the middle section, and there's the final reload. And that is the way to finish. 20.70 is good, but there's trouble on the first drop turner.
I'd just like to check it for the alpha.
His second clearly isn't on the target. He's not contesting a double, just that the one hit called a Charlie might be an alpha.
I see what you're saying, Max. See, this is where the perf is. You see? Right here? There's the perf.
It was a 7-point swing on that one target. Shane wins the stage, but Max holds on to win the championship. Shane Coley is second. Nils Jonasson rounds out the podium. In the ladies division, it's Julie Golub over Tori Nanaka, and Randy Rogers is third. But coming next, new glass from Bushnell to get our 7mm custom on target.
Introducing the M&P M2.0 by Smith & Wesson, enhanced for complete shootability. Featuring a new aggressive grip texture, the famous M&P optimal grip angle, 4 interchangeable palm swell grips for nearly any hand size, a light, crisp trigger with a clear tactile reset. Everything you love about the M&P pistol made even better. The new M&P M2.0, advanced by design.
Shooting USA is brought to you by Colt. Built one at a time, proven every round.
You may remember several years ago our first project rifle, a Remington 700 long action that Jim turned up at a local gun shop. Haggard stock, shot out barrel. Well, we rebarreled it with the help of Rocky McWilliams in 7mm Rem mag. And it didn't take long to figure out that is not the caliber you want to shoot over and over again all day long. So we added the bump buster recoil system to the new stock, and at that point we called it done. Well, back then, the Trijicon 2.5 to 10 was a pretty high-speed piece of glass. But now, there are other options. So like always, it's out with the old and in with the new. This is the Bushnell Elite Tactical Hunter 3 to 12 by 44. The old scope is a 2.5 to 10, so I'm gaining some long-range magnification. Now both scopes are built on a 30mm tube, so it's a simple swap. The big advantage for the Bushnell Elite Tactical Hunter for me is that it's set up in mils. And that means it's got 1/10 of mil adjustment, windage, and elevation. So it's a lot like the Elite Tactical scopes I have on my precision guns. The old scope is MOAs with 1/4 MOA adjustments. The new scope has parallax adjustment. The old scope does not. The new scope has the G2H reticle on the first focal plane for making quick elevation or windage adjustments when opportunities present themselves. Also, the new rev limiter zero stop in the elevation turret, handy for returning to zero should I ever dial elevation for a longer shot. The old scope has none of that. So once I get everything tightened down, we'll head to the field and get a zero. Well, it didn't take much to put this cannon back on paper, and as you can see, this is a really nice hunting setup with the latest technology in hunting scopes. The Bushnell Elite Tactical Hunter 3 to 12 by 44, just under $1,200.
Now, a quick note on the shooting bench John was using. It's from Legacy Shooting Products, a new company set up to solve a problem Wade Loudemy couldn't find a solution for. A portable but rock-solid bench to rest his rifle. Wade believes 4 legs are more stable than 3, so they are adjustable to match the terrain where you're setting up. But the legs fit in the bottom channel of the computer-designed table when you break it down. It's made of marine-grade plywood with an anti-skid finish on top. It's got a handle, and it weighs 38 pounds with the legs inside to travel. It's $3.99 from Legacy Shooting Products. Now, a personal note on carrying my J-frame. You already know I prefer a rip-away fanny pack for daily wear. Everybody thinks I'm just a sloppy-dressed tourist. But dressing up has been a problem that ComTac has now solved for me with the inside-the-waistband 2 o'clock model for the J-frame. It's molded Kydex so it retains its shape with the gun out. The flexible nylon belt clip holds secure with adjustments for how deep in the pants you want the gun. And a sport coat keeps everything covered, but ready should I need it. And now I'm not tearing out the pockets in my pants. ComTac's got the answer for $54. Well, coming next, the U.S. Army Marksmanship Unit Olympian shows us how to prepare for the next hunt. Out of all you'll spend on shooting this year, this is the most important, a membership in the NRA. Join at shootingusa.com and I'll pay $10 for you. It's that important.
On March 29, 1911, the Armed Forces adopted a pistol that would change the world. For decades to come, men and women relied on the most trusted pistol in history as they fought the toughest battles to protect our freedom. Today, we celebrate another great victory. Introducing the all-new Colt competition pistol. Designed for heroes, created for champions. We didn't just make history, we're still making it.
Shooting USA is brought to you by Les Baer Customs 1911s, hand-fitted to perfection because you'll accept no less. In both hunting and Olympic-style shooting, hitting your target begins with finding a stable position. Well, today, Sergeant First Class Michael McPhail of the U.S. Army Marksmanship Unit is going to show us how to find the stable positions that are required for his Olympic sport, 50-meter rifle.
Hi, I'm Sergeant McPhail, and today I'm going to talk to you about how Olympic-style shooting can also help you in the deer woods. So the first position we're going to talk about today is kneeling. I like kneeling. It's a little bit of an underutilized position, but it's almost as stable as prone. It allows you to get up off the ground a little bit higher to kind of negate some vegetation. We're going to start by taking our non-dominant foot and put that towards the target, while at the same time dropping down to a knee on our dominant leg. We'll also wrap the sling around our wrist and forearm, lean slightly into the target, and take the shot. The next position I'd like to talk about is prone. In a hunting situation, we're going to use prone supported, where versus Olympic style shooting would be prone unsupported. So in a hunting situation, when we're shooting prone supported, the two most important things we're looking for is stability in the position and to minimize heartbeat, just like we would for Olympic style shooting. To do that, we will put the backpack on the ground with the rifle atop, and that is the only thing that is stabilizing the rifle. We're not using any muscles at this time. Next, we're going to bring our dominant leg up and bend at the knee to take pressure off our abdomen, to minimize heartbeat and help with our breathing. So as you can see, I'm in a tree stand. That's the last position we're going to talk about today. I have two improvised positions which shoot out of a tree stand. Obviously, we don't use tree stands in the Olympics, but down here in the Southeast when we're deer hunting, we use them a lot. So the first position I'd like to talk about is how to utilize a crossbar. Okay, it's already on here, very stable position. And this particular tree stand, the crossbar comes straight out, so it's not up an angle like a lot of gun stands do. But we're going to use this crossbar and these sidebars to get a stable position. Start by putting our elbow just in front of the crossbar and our dominant arm, so I'm a right-handed shooter, I'm going to use my right arm, I'm going to kind of pull that in on the other side of the crossbar. Take a solid position and fire when ready. So that was variation 1. I have variation 2, and I've kind of been saving the best for last, and it involves your knee. So you're just going to bring your knee up on the crossbar and basically keep everything else the same, with your forearm resting on your knee, this other elbow resting on the tree stand, and I think you'll find this is the most stable position from your tree stand. So that's shooting from a tree stand. You know, the big theme I want to keep in mind today is finding a stable position from any shooting platform. That'll help you in the deer woods and in the competition.
Thanks, Sergeant, for more from our Army team making a difference for you. And if you'd like to review the pro tip, head to our website. You'll find a transcript, plus links for more information on Remington at 200 years, and how to sign up for the next Carry Optics Nationals if you're ready for red dot competition. Find all the info at shootingusa.com. For all of us, I'm Jim Scoutten. Shoot safely, shoot often, and keep them in the 10 ring.